Good evening, friends, and I trust that everybody has had a fantastic day. So, who here has heard the expression, be mindful of your thoughts? I know I have. I used to have a boss that would say that stuff all the time. He did a life coaching course, and every day at work was a different episode of coaching sessions just by being an employee. It had its benefits, but mostly it was kind of grating. It agitated me a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. So be mindful of your thoughts. Why? Okay, so here's the thing. Your thoughts are completely indifferent to the thought, 100% indifferent to the thought. You have no attachment to it. That thought has zero power. There is no need to be mindful of something like that. We sit there daydreaming and we have absolutely no attachments to what we're thinking about. We have complete indifference to what is going on in our mind. It's just like a sketch on a piece of paper. It has zero power. There's no need to be mindful about that. Maybe there is, but that's a different level. We're talking about something else there. We'll go into that. So, in terms of be mindful of your thoughts, a much better thing to say is be mindful of how you feel about your thoughts. What we're talking about here is using the emotion and the strength of the emotions to drive what the thoughts are. Hey Danielle, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. Hey Andrea, nice to see you guys online. So essentially, when we think about something, we're drawing a picture, and then the way we bring that picture to life is by how we feel about it. So that's our life. That's what's happening. Hey Boo, thanks for all the hearts. That's what's happening every single time we have a thought. It's not the thought that we're mindful of or we need to be mindful of. It's the feeling behind that. And that then creates our reality. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Hey Garcia, thanks for joining. So that's something that I want you guys to keep in mind is the thoughts on their own, they're meaningless without the emotion behind them. But we never, ever, ever have a thought that we don't have some measure of emotional attachment to. And that's why you hear people say, be mindful of your thoughts. It's not the thoughts, it's what happens behind the scenes. Now, we've been thinking our whole lives. From the time we're born, we've been forming these thought patterns. So essentially, we've been having feelings to the things that we've been thinking our whole lives, and that's been fueling and creating our reality. The things that we don't like so much, that goes into storage in us. And even when we're well and truly out of the situation, when we're past it and we've moved on, we are still stop thinking. Exactly. And there is a way to do that, trust me. So what happens is we have thoughts about things. Those thoughts are fueled by the emotion behind them. And then essentially we store that in the body, and it creates it creates muscle memory, it creates cellular memory, and it causes us problems. It causes us dis-ease as we move, across our lives. So we have that one thought, it might be a stressful thought, and then we repeat it and we repeat it and repeat it, and we add emotion to it, and it just keeps fueling it. And essentially, we end up creating dis-ease in the body that stores in various places. Now, the way to get rid of that and reset that and create almost like a brand new blueprint of the body is by examining the body. Everything manifests in the body, exactly, Boo. So what happens is, if you sit down one day, do it in a nice hot bath. This is awesome. And then start at your feet, start at the tips of your feet, and start massaging and massage and feel connective tissue, feel muscle, feel bone. Just get to know what it is that you're interacting with. And the parts that are sore, give them a good stretch out, and you'll start to feel that these emotions that we've been storing for a long time start to come out. You will start having to face some things. It happened to me recently. So I'm now doing yoga, pretty well 5 days a week, courtesy of my boo, who is becoming a yoga instructor. I'm her guinea pig for her flows, and instead of doing yoga once a week like I used to, I'm now doing it 5 times a week, every morning, basically, that I get up to go to work. So I'm stretching out parts of myself more frequently and more vigorously and in depth than I normally have. Now, I'm also noticing that I'm also having a lot of emotional things, poison stored in there. Exactly, Boo. That's it. Poison is stored in there. I'm having a lot of emotions come out. I'm having a lot of old things that I thought I had dealt with coming out. So that brings me to one of my strong points tonight. Your thoughts cannot override your emotions. There is a hierarchy. It starts with the physical body, it goes to the mental body or the thoughts, and then it goes to the emotional body or what we feel. What happens is, if we have feelings, emotions stored in the physical body, thinking our way through it isn't going to release that. We can't think that we want to be free of something if we've still got it stored with emotions in the body. So what we need to do is stretch that out, release it, get it out, face it, deal with it, and send it on its way. And then we're free from that. Now, the other thing I wanted to share is the way that we stop ourselves from turning emotion-fueled thoughts into our reality is by creating space between what we think and the emotional attachment. Now, the way to do that is with the breath. I had a session with someone tonight, and one of the things that I demonstrated when he asked, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me sharing this, one of the things that he asked was, how do we create space? The analogy I gave was this. This is where we are in life, and this is the world we're interacting with. Now, there's space for us to interact with the world, and we can think about what we're doing. We can respond. Hey, Ty, welcome. Thanks, buddy, for tuning in. We can think about, how we're going to respond to the world when we have this gap between us and the world, this space. When something happens that causes us stress, all of a sudden, bang, that space is gone. We're now dealing with something right here, and we're dealing from a point of reaction. There is absolutely no space to think about what we want. It's all emotion. It's all fueled by what we're feeling. Most of the time, we don't have the conditioning, the discipline, or the underlying faculties to be able to, when we're at this point, deal from a point of we're not reacting from a place of peace. When someone cuts us off when we're driving, we're not going, oh, have a lovely day, see you later, thanks. That's just reaction. It's asshole. So what we need to do is, when we have something that comes at us, when the world gets really close and in our face, taking that breath in the moment, you see what's happening there? It's creating more and more space. And that space then allows us to put a thought in there. That thought can then be followed up with emotion and creates power. And then all of a sudden we're back in a place of power. That stops us from storing it in the body as well. So that's the way forward. If you want to eradicate those pains, you may have something in the body that's hurting, that's not quite right. For me, the back of my legs, my hamstrings, when I stretch, they're super tight. Now, I always thought that it was because I spent a lot of years as a sponsored endurance runner, but the fact of the matter is, hey Melissa, thanks for joining me. The fact is, I was running to avoid emotion, so those emotions were storing into that part of my body, and now when I stretch, it's really painful for me, and it brings things to the surface. It's a good thing. It's a good process. Awareness is awesome, but just getting that out, getting that released, it changes the score to everything. And then the way that we stop from adding new things into the storage in the body is by creating that space, and we use the breath to do that. I hope this has helped, and I'm sort of done with the topic. I don't have too much more to say, so I'm going to sign off before I ramble too much. I love you all. Thanks for joining, and I'll talk to you again soon.